Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Legends of LOR. I am joined here by James
Yo.
and PinkGhost,
Yo.
as well as brand new guest for the first time for sure, Trust, Frenchie.
Hi, hey, hello. Yes, this is definitely my first time. Surely there wasn't an episode before this.
I definitely didn't record episode last week, and I just not publish it because I was not in the mood to edit it ever, and now it's out of timing for us. But anyways, Frenchie, this is your first time ever here. Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Hi, I'm Frenchie. I am, as opposed to what my name says, I am not an EU player. I'm an NA player. I have been playing competitively about a year now. My track record is I have not top cut anything major except one small tournament. I usually like Control and PNZ and SI. Those are the regions I like. So if you have any questions about SI, feel free to ask me about them. Commenters, ask them post in the comment about SI, I guess. And yeah, I like talking about lore. Oh, I'm also a former Magic player that hopped the wagon and came to LOR like a year and a half ago.
Yo, same, except mine was like 3 years ago.
What's your favorite
Oh.
SI follower?
Oh, to the old school people from like 3 years ago, because I was here during beta and then left immediately after beta. Rasa is so based. Remember when he was 7 mana?
Yeah, I remember when Rasa was a playable card.
Man,
Yeah, those were the days.
No, take me back to the days I played Soul Gorger.
Oh,
yo,
God.
George,
Bro, I tried to play War Mother's Call in Standard with Soul Gorger. God, that deck is ass now. Dude, I was hoping War Mother's Call would be at least somewhat playable in Standard. No, it's not.
No,
It's
no,
sad.
no, you just get Samirad.
You do. Yeah, you.
What if I
Maybe
want to
next
buff
match.
up my Soul Gorger?
Yeah. I have a 4/8 Soul Gorger. That's surely good enough. The funny thing about Soul Gorger is it also dies to Soul Harvest. So,
Yeah,
bad
no.
card.
Terrible.
You know what else is a bad card because it dies to Soul Harvest? Anivia.
True.
True.
Hey, the Anivia stats have like gone up to 45% last I checked, so you never know.
That's too high. That's too high. We gotta pull those stats down, boys.
Man, we're almost catching up to Rise, huh?
Yeah. Well, we got a few things to talk about this week. We can talk about also the third season. All right,
Fourth.
the fourth season of Aegis, the third official season of Aegis, just wrapped up last Friday. James and I, our teams respectively finished 5th and 6th, and BBBBSS finished in first place. And all three of these teams have one thing in common, which is that they were all in Group 1, so Group 1 supremacy.
And Group 1, Group of Death, yep.
Yep. Yeah, and crazy that the only pure EU team, or EMEA team, managed to win the AM tourney. So congratulations to Salty Simon, Bajatok, and Broken Ball for their win.
And ripped the Henneke team that got 4th in our group and couldn't make playoffs.
Yeah, unfortunate for them.
Wait, why are we specifically calling out Aniki?
Henneke was on the team that got 4th place.
Was
And-
it just Aniki?
And Henneke was the captain.
Okay. Alright, it just felt weird that we were calling him out specifically. But okay.
Yeah, but hey, speaking of callouts, we gotta call out the fun decks we used this week. So I managed to win 2 of my matches this week with the standard Metis powerhouse Jin Nora.
The most powerful of decks.
Yes.
How does it work?
So Jin Nora has 2 of the best condensed targets in the game with Riptide Rex and Lord Broadmane. And the idea is that you're playing both of them in the same deck. And you can use Lord Broadmane to beat board-based control decks and condense him when you need that. And you can use Riptide Rex to end the game. So one cool thing you can do is you can Riptide Rex, and you can condense and Riptide Rex again, and your opponent can't do much about it. Or you can like Riptide Rex and then do it next turn for like 3 mana. and it's very difficult for your opponent to deal with in the later portion of the game. And then you have the Nora package to throw out enough units in the early game that it's hard for you to get killed, and how you can honestly just like kill your opponent quickly by just like setting up a wide board from Nora in portals.
So, Dragon, some non-believers might ask the question that, isn't it better to just cut the Jin section of that deck and just run Bilgewater, since you would be able to have access to Shelly, Mirai, or BB, and Rex, and also have TF for the cycling and just better draw? What do you have to say against that?
So first off, TF is not in standard, so we can't play that because this is standard, not eternal. So first off, while it would be nice to have BB, losing out on Broadmain hurts a little bit in some matchups because essentially that deck can struggle to kill taller units without having to chain a lot of spells together with BB. Whereas with Broadmain, you just need Broadmain and other ping effects. So either we'd have to lose Bandle City, which means we lose Condense entirely, or we'd have to lose the Noxus portion, which means we can't kill the tall units like that. And the second, Jin stuns are actually... Jin stuns can actually be quite relevant sometimes. I will say I'm not leveling Jin much in that deck before I play Rex, but I've had a few games where like Jin stuns a unit and it actually winds up winning me the game. And 3, it actually makes the Conchologist pool much better because you only have spells from one region. Like you only have the Bandle spells. So you don't have some of the bad Bilgewater spells. Like you don't have to worry about hitting Bloodbait from Conchologist, for example.
Now, Dragon, other non-believers would say, why not just drop Jin for Noxus and play Annie if you want to play Standard? Then you can condense Tibok.
To that I say, we would then lose Riptide Rex as our late game insurance policy. And I like having access to both Broadmain and Jin, and I think Broadmain and Riptide Rex. I think this deck has been doing quite solid. I even used it to climb to 1k LP, so I have put my faith in the deck, and I have proven that it can be quite effective.
Speaking of faith, Dragon, you put your faith in that deck, and my team put our faith in FGW to just 3-0 Duck Peak. And the reason he went first was because he said, guys, I'm busy today, so let me just go first.
Yeah, and that's why he just cleaned house and made sure that he had to worry about the matchup after he lost, because he didn't lose.
True, and he even took out the villain Quacko.
Oh, I would not call Kuwako the villain. Just because he's on top of both ladders does not mean he's the final boss, alright? It might, but doesn't mean it has to.
Dragon, you're actually mistaken. Quacko is not on the top of all of these ladders, because we have to remember there is one person who is on the most important ladder, which is Steve Rubin, who got a promotion and went up the corporate ladder.
Yes. Congratulations to Steve
he got
Rubin.
yet another one?
He got yet another one.
Dude is making his way up there.
Yeah, I believe he's a senior game director now for LOR. So yeah, congratulations to Rubin. Proud of him, and I really like the direction the game's been going. And he has some really cool champions that he's designed.
Like Akshan, Nocturne, Ziggs, Annie, Ophelio, Samira, Gwen, I believe, and a few others.
Yes.
Yeah, like all those are bangers. Some of them might have been a tad bit overtuned at some point in their existence.
And Samira.
But I mean, they're still very cool designs, and honestly, some of those champions are like the favorite champions of some people. Like a lot of people really liked Akshan when he first came out, and
until the Ionia Infinite struck.
We don't talk about that arc, James. That arc doesn't exist. All right, Akshan never did anything wrong. Just
Dragon,
believe us.
We sadly have to talk about that because the winners of the first Aegis, when it was called Runeterra Academy, Shotnox 3-0'd Stromboli with Akshan Ionia Infinite.
Yeah, but that was season 0, so that doesn't technically count, so it's fine. I mean, it does count Shotnox Trust, but like, you know, for purposes of having a talk about this deck, it doesn't count. But yeah.
I'm sorry, I zoned out for a second. What's happening?
Akshan did nothing wrong, and we're moving on from talking about Aegis to talking about the Open, because what we're talking about, decks Akshan can be played, and Akshan can only be played in Eternal, where surely he was seeing play because he was a good card. Surely it wasn't just a bunch of Samira Seraphine players in like other decks.
Hey, I don't know about you guys. I actually saw a good number of Akshan players on ladder. I mean, not on ladder, during the Open.
Nice.
Oh, I forgot a couple very important Ruben champs. Evelyn, Viego.
But speaking of Akshan in the Eternal Open, there was an interesting arc that happened during the Eternal Open, and I don't know how we feel about talking this, but it was quite an interesting moment because we saw the rise of a new LOR meme, at least. I don't know if you guys are aware of it or not, but AC Joel. Have we heard of this? Does anybody wish to talk about AC Joel?
So I've heard and seen the Joel meme, but I don't actually know the origins.
I do not either. So you know what, Frenchie, go ahead and explain it to us.
All right. So Grandpa Roji, a great player, an amazing player, actually brought I believe, a lineup of cultists. So Akshan, Varus, Sivir, and Talia Malphite. I do not know the third deck that he brought for the Eternal Open, but he faced up against an opponent, AC Droll, 2 times in the Open, and Droll, whose deck building capabilities are amazing, brought the decks of, I believe, Ornn Kane. What was the other deck that he also brought? Oh, it was Azir Renekton, and we are not aware of his third deck, I believe. But he won both sets against Grandpa Roji, and it simply shows that sometimes go tall strategies work against Shurima decks because you can't interact with the massive Ornn that comes down on turn 7, or sometimes you just can't deal with a 10-10 Renekton on turn 5.
Those things do seem pretty good against Shurima.
Indeed.
Shout out to the winners of each Open, which was Mr. Bear for APAC, TOS/Terms of Service for EMEA. Wait, James, is their name actually Terms of Service? So they
Yes,
just called
it
TOS?
was actually TOS.
Okay. And another called TOS, wasn't sure if it was short for that. But yeah, he won EMEA, and then in the Americas, ABG Tie Guy wound up taking it home. So congratulations to those 3. They all brought significantly better lineups than whatever the heck I brought, and I don't even know what their lineups are, but I can say that with complete confidence because they did win, and I did not.
And speaking of day 2, all 3 regions had a bug where it wouldn't let you submit Eternal decks, so there were people who just brought standard decks. But to get around this bug, you just have to wait a few minutes.
Yeah, I did see some talk about that. Hopefully it gets fixed for the Open next week. And at the very least, hopefully the information is what going to spread wide enough that anyone who encounters it will know what to do. So I guess we can talk about what we brought to the Open as well. So I guess I'll go first because mine will be the most entertaining. So I was originally not going to play in the Open, and then I woke up the day of and decided, screw it, I'm just going to play some fun decks and go from there. Because I had found a really funny deck on Twitter that was Lee Sin Kennen that was splashing 2 Absolver. But I saw that it was playing Black Flame, so I'm like, hang on a second. What if instead of playing Lee Sin, I played Set? Because if I Black Flame a Set and he's leveled, because of the Black Flame interaction, he's going to be coming attacking, and if he's leveled, since he can't take damage or die, he won't die when he attacks a unit with Black Flame, so he gets to stay on board so you can trigger his thing. And I thought that was really funny, so I played him instead of Lee Sin. And then for the third deck, I just looked online and looked for a funny deck, and I found Time Bomb Printer. And so I brought that.
I have a question about the set interaction.
No, it did not come up in any of my games, I am sorry to say.
Well, that's unfortunate. But what I was actually asking is, but doesn't he still... Because he's only invulnerable while attacking, right? And he stays ephemeral, so doesn't he still die at the end of the turn?
He does, but you can get your thing before he dies, trust.
Okay.
So, listeners, you can take away one thing from this episode. Do not play Time Bomb Printer in any serious capacity if you're trying to win Oh my god, that deck was so bad.
I think anyone who watches Sunny can probably attest to this.
Yeah. I'm glad I decided to test this theory in the open. You know? So
Mm-hmm.
my third deck was Pink Gwen, which is Aurelia Gwen, which is hollowed, and the idea is that you're just getting a bunch of free attack cards, and you're thanks to hollowed, all of your blades that you're free attacking with get massive.
Is that
So
also a Black Flame deck?
it is. So I couldn't find a third Black Flame deck in time for the open because there's the other good Black Flame deck was also SI, so I couldn't play that.
But then I had a talk with Dragon the other day and gave him the best third Black Flame deck, Aloof.
Yes, I will talk about that after I talk about how my open went. So, believe it or not, my lineup didn't 0-3. I actually went 2-3 with my lineup. Fun fact: Pink Gwen got banned every single game without fail, which makes sense considering my lineup. It was like the only real deck I was playing. Set Kennen went undefeated at 2-0. And I did have a game where I leveled my set and played his Obliterate effect, despite the fact that I'm playing 0 coins in my deck, which I also realized after I built my deck. And Zillion Time Bombs went 2-6. I did not win a single game in the sets I lost, but I didn't drop a single game in the sets I won. So what I have learned from this is that clearly Set Kennen and Pink Gwen are broken because they both went undefeated. So I just need to find the third deck. And the third deck is Aloof Printer, where we just aloof Black Flame and Aloof, and then just it's free attack and just get more Aloofs.
Or why not Jin Nora?
Jin Nora cannot play Black Flame, so it is invalid.
Okay. I forgot that that's what we were going for.
Yes. I will say I had a really funny game with Aloof Printer yesterday. Where I was playing against Set Karma, and I literally burned all 3 Karmas and 2 of their sets, and like all of their draw spells. I like burned all their formulas, burned all their place your bets. It was really funny. Then they actually just lost to getting milled out.
That is actually one of those decks that I just really love getting a chance to play. Even when you lose, it's a fun time.
It is. So that's my lineup and my experience. Well, what about you guys? I'm sure you guys probably had a bit more of a comprehensive game plan than Ooga Booga funny shenanigans. Why don't we start with you, James?
Of what?
How did your open experience go?
Oh, so I had 2 buys, but I went 1-3. Rise let me down, and I went full Joker mode after Rise bricked, but not only that, my Silver Alawi opponent not only flipped Alawi on 4, but it was through a Steel Tempest on the Alawi swing. And that's not the worst part. Across the 2 games I played against it, one with Ravenbloom Condense and Rise, they opened 4 of the Tentacle Idols by turn 2, 4 total. 3 in the Ravenbloom game and 1 on 1 in the Rise game.
You hate to see it.
My lineup was Cat, Nora, Ravenbloom Condense, Rise, Ionia, and the worst Seraphine deck, Seraphine Vandalbar. Oh, and then the final round that I lost to knock me out was against Triple Aggro. And I was doing fine and stabilizing for so long with Vandalbar against Pirate Aggro, till the whole time they were just slow rolling their final fervor.
Unfortunate, James. But hey, there's always next week that you can come back and get revenge on these aggro players or these other players. You can find that Silver allow your opponent and get revenge when they don't draw all their idols.
Surely they don't just high roll again, Clueless.
Surely. Just high roll them back. Easy.
That's a strat right there.
Yeah. Alright, Ghost, why don't we talk about your lineup next?
Oh, my lineup? All right. So I decided that I was going to play in the open at like 2 p.m. on Saturday. I had just finished I didn't think I was going to be playing. I finished a gig like the day before and realized I had free time. And I was like, I might just do this. So I built a lineup. Whenever I build a lineup, the first thing I think about is how I don't want to lose to aggro. Just dying to burn makes me feel bad, and I like playing decks that make aggro decks lose. So I do that a lot, but then I also try to target, like, be good into what I think the meta is. So, like, at that time, I think a lot of decks that I was looking at was like Nasus. Nasus was pretty big at the time. I was aware that Seraphine Samira was like a popular deck, but I hadn't played up enough against it that I was probably just going to ban it, except in certain scenarios. And then there was Orange Jax, I also knew was pretty big. So I wanted decks that were good into aggro, and I guess also, besides the Seraphine list, a lot of like mid-rangey stuff. So I ended up bringing a good amount of Ionia. I brought Karma Set Shadow Isles, but I teched it to be a lot more lenient towards aggro, because out of the 3 decks that I brought, it probably had the worst win rate against like a lot of the aggro decks, like Annie Jin, like Poppy Ziggs, and discard aggro and pirates and stuff. I think overall it had like a 45% win rate in those decks, which really goes against the whole I don't want to be weakened to aggro sort of aspect. So I really teched it hard. Well, not like super hard, but compared to other lists that I saw online, I was running 1 copy of Hapless Aristocrat, just to get a good several blocks off, and it ended up saving my life in a game or two, pulling off multiple blocks against the Demacia cultist with Scout. And then oh man, I put in a copy of Quietus, which a lot of versions weren't running, but helped me deal with like early aggression and also deal with like Orange Jax, which was great. And I ended up I was running Withering Wail, and I didn't realize until like I started playing like a practice match or two. I was like, wait, Withering Wail's 4 mana now. I didn't even realize that, but I was like, oh, this is a good card.
Man, they
and-
nerfed fan club president.
We did.
Yeah, true. And that came in real clutch when I was up against like condensed decks, and it's like, oh, look at all these like 1/1s that you have just summoned.
True.
These
It's actually
one
a hard
health
card
Tibbles.
condense. Nice.
Yeah. I had someone with like 3 Tibbles on the board, and I was just like, Withering Wail, what do you do?
They Blaze Edge your face for 4. The end.
Yeah, but I was at like 16, so it didn't matter.
Man,
True.
if only those were Shellys when they go cures 2 spells.
Yeah, and with that deck, with those Withering Wails, with Vile Feast, with I was running Gohard, of course, and then of course Smooth Mixologist. I think on average I had like 28, 29 health in total for matches, which is not something you want to see as an aggro player. You can usually barely make 20 when you're playing aggro, so that was great. I was playing a Philios Victor because I saw that did very well into a lot of aggressive decks. So I was like, and it also did very well into Thresh Nasus. So I was like, this is a deck that I want to bring. I really should have gotten more practice with that deck. And there's a lot of different versions running around. Like there's the one with Submersible, and then there's I was on the one with what's it called? The Morning Light, the Winding Light.
Okay.
That you go wide and get big overwhelm boards, and I did the thing. I went overwhelm. I killed a bunch of people, but I definitely needed to be more familiar with that list because I did not actually. I was good into aggro, but I didn't actually have much healing for a Targon deck. And then the final deck that I brought, I went for a classic, a deck that I haven't played in a while, but I am quite familiar with. I was playing some Zoe Lee Sin, some more Targon Ionia. Having two
Oh.
Ionia decks makes it really hard for like those mid-range decks to like do anything.
Mhm.
Like Nasus can't strike to level up when I've got all these recalls and stuns and such, and you can't ban both of them, so that just ended up working out really well for my favor. I saw a lot of Nasus, some Nasus Thresh, some Akshan Nasus, which I didn't know was a thing until I looked it up on Frontier AR, and it totally is a thing, and it didn't do well.
So Akshan Nasus got popular because an OS player named Nas hit rank 1 with it briefly.
Well, the scariest threat in that deck besides Nasus is Spirit Leech, which also dies to like everything. So I did not feel threatened at all by that. The one time I ran into that deck, it felt like a non-game by just like how easily I could deal with everything that my opponent was doing. But getting to play Lee Sin in the modern Eternal format was cool because not only did I have access to Eye of the Dragon, but I also had access to Stellacorn, fledgling Stellacorn. So I just had a bunch of life, man. It didn't matter if I didn't draw Lee Sin in my first 20 cards. I had it, and I still the new versions play Ayula to grant Lee Sin Overwhelm and or Spell Shield, depending on what you need. And then I also was running Place Your Bets, so I could actually play a draw spell that could draw me into my Lee Sin. It was pretty good. Lee Sin was my one deck that like never got banned, and therefore, since I didn't top, I went like 6-3, which I think is the best that I've done in Open so far. But definitely, I definitely could have still done better. When I ended up losing, getting knocked out by Dresbo, I beat him game 1, and then like misplayed heavily in game 2, and I was just so tilted that I was not playing well in game 3, and it really came back to bite me there. So cheers to Dresbo. I think he topped. His lineup was wild too. Did you guys see Dresbo's lineup?
I did not. Did he play this Mira Draven out of the way deck?
He might have. If he did, that's the deck that I banned. I only remember the decks that I played against. No, he didn't, because that's not the deck that I banned. The deck that I banned was Viego Maokai in Bandle City.
Oh, Dragon.
All right.
First of all, a funny story of Viego Maokai decks, huh? I brought Viego Maokai during the Kaisa seasonal. I went 6-3, but it was Shurima Viego Maokai.
Well, Dresbo turns out sounds like it did pretty good for Dresbo. What were his other two decks, Ghost?
I don't remember whatever deck. Well, let me hold on. Let me imagine. One of his was like a cheesy Vi pile. It was
Dresbo pile.
Yeah, it was an Ionia PNZ Dresbo pile where he just gets a Vi out on the board, gets her to 10 attack, and makes her elusive and just tries to kill you. And I misplayed. I gave my Lee Sin Spell Shield with Ayula instead of Overwhelm, because my thought process was I've seen Dresbo play like a lot of stuns already. Like he played 3 copies of Steel Tempest. I know this not because I've seen his list, but because he played all 3 copies of Steel Tempest. And he was playing all these stuns and recalls and stuff. I was like, and I had Aphelios spell. I had Infernum in my back pocket. So I was like, I don't need to give Lee Sin Overwhelm. I just need one good kick to not be interrupted. I'll give him Spell Shield. But it turns out something I didn't consider was that Dresbo was playing a bunch of recall spells and could just recall his own units. And then I'm not kicking anything, and I don't have Overwhelm after the first kick. So I kicked him like 5 or 6 times, and he just kept stunning through me or recalling his own units to make me not do any damage. And that misplay cost me game 2, and then I was just so tilted I lost game 3. But it made up for it because I had a fantastic match against Lee Farley fanboy TKG's Andres. I played against him, and he was on an aggressive lineup. He was on a lineup that I came to beat, unfortunately for him.
Oh no, dude! Did you bully them,
Bro, there was a game against Andres where I was playing Lee Sin and he was playing like discard aggro, like Draven Scion sort of stuff. And I have named that match Stellacorn Jump Scare because I played Stellacorn on 2 and he wasn't able to do anything until turn 8. Andres is a very patient guy and knows how to play the game well, so he wasn't attacking into my Stellacorn with all of his 2-1s, knowing very well that I would just heal up a lot of that damage and kill off his units. So he was playing very patient, but he was giving me the time that I needed to just do what I wanted, and he wasn't able to kill that Stellacorn until like turn 8 after like various attempts to break through it with like pings and stuff. I played Pale Cascade, I healed it up with Guiding Touch, I played
Twin.
I might have played Twin, but I'm thinking specifically of Blessing of Targon off of Targon Tellstones.
And
I eventually ended up kicking his Scion into his Nexus, which I guess is sort of BM because it gives him the undead Scion, but he's also dead. But yeah, that Stellacorn just that singular 2-drop absolutely ruined Andres' day. And I had a blast, but obviously it probably wasn't as fun for him. So I feel a little bit bad about it. But yeah, I love that's. I've been referring to that match. I wish I recorded it to some people, a Stellacorn Jump Scare, because it's just this 2-drop that comes down, and suddenly you, as the aggro deck, are terrified.
That is true. Stellacorn is a messed up card. It's just like in standard. I didn't see much play in standard because there weren't really that many good Targon decks that could play it. But in Eternal, there's a lot more decks that are able to utilize it, and it could be a scary card there.
PinkGhost, I have some good news for you at least. You may have not beaten Dresbo, but Dresbo lost first round of day 2 to Nivea.
I mean, that doesn't make me feel happy. If I was gonna lose to someone, I would hope that it would be the person who ends up winning, right?
True.
Unfortunate for Dresbo, boosting Anivia to a 46% win rate.
All right. Well, we do have one more person here with the deck list to share. So, Frenchie, what you got for us?
Yes. So I definitely haven't talked about my lineup in the past before, but
Of course not.
So, of course not. But I actually changed my lineup at the last second. So on Friday night, I was after a long day of work, I came back home and I had a weed edible, and I got high as often as most intelligent decisions come through. Is I had a lot as the greatest decision making of the world always happens while being high. I looked at my lineup and I said, this is a good lineup. What if I don't bring it? So at the very last second, I got baited by some people might know them as Mega Goofball or ABG Nessie, I believe.
No.
Yeah, who brought Karma Set SI, which is a relatively good deck. But here's the thing.
Mhm.
It's terrible into my lineup. It is absolutely horrific into my lineup because I brought Seraphine Samira, Karma Set SI, and my third deck was Victor Aphelios. And what I didn't realize at the time, because I woke up at like 2 p.m. on an afternoon on Saturday, because I went to bed at like 4 a.m. on Friday. I mean, it's like 4 a.m. on Saturday, technically. But I went to bed very late. I woke up at like 2 p.m. And I was like, yeah, I'm all right. Like, I had a residual high, and I was like, I wasn't being serious about the open too much. And I cracked open a beer. I was like, let's do this. And I only later realized once I went against three counter lineups that my lineup had a terrible win rate into Samira Seraphine. I think like one of my decks had an 18% win rate into Samira Seraphine.
Yeah.
And the other deck that I did terribly into was Condensed Tibble, which was pretty popular. Not a great deck, but it was certainly a deck that you could choose to bring as a third deck. And if you brought Samira Seraphine and Condensed Tibuk, my lineup spread was all either yellow or red. I had no favorite deck into that lineup. So I was like, surely I won't see that lineup. I saw that lineup. I had a single buy. For the first 3 matches, that's all I saw. I saw only Samira Seraphine and Condensed Tibuk.
Surely we just farmed the third deck in all 3 of those games.
No. We were like, I was like, I banned Samira Seraphine. They banned my Samira Seraphine 3 times. For some reason, people like, I know the deck is overpowered and broken, but usually like you could delete when you have Condensed Tibuk and you have such a great lineup into my lineup. You probably want to ban the Victor Aphelios. They didn't. They just banned the Samira Seraphine all the time. And I was like, oh no. I have to go up against this counter lineup 3 times. And I played the sweatiest Karma Spooky Karma of my life. Now, to everybody who's watching this, do not bring Karma set aside to the next open. I don't think it's like that good into the meta. But for some reason, that deck only lost me, I believe, once throughout my entire run. I went 6-3, and it only lost once. I don't understand why. And the one time it actually lost, it lost against the favored matchup. So I don't know what is happening. I won the unfavored matchups, mostly because they just didn't. All 3 times, the opponent just didn't draw Ravenbloom Conservatory, and they were just digging for that.
So, Frenchie, what I've learned from this is the more unfavored it is into the meta, the better chances you have of playing Karma SI, because you can only win unfavored matchups. You can't win the favored matchups. Got it.
But Frenchie,
that is a takeaway you could take out of this. Yes, James.
The problem with your statement of don't bring Karma Set SI, Karma Set SI won for America's Open.
And it did well for me. But
True.
I actually do agree with Frenchie that I don't think it's great into how the meta is developing.
Technically, yes, they did win the Open, but I still believe that Karma Set SI, even though it is a good deck, it's not well positioned into the meta enough to actually bring it. Maybe for the next Open, if people like bring a lot of aggro and you take your deck to be really good against aggro, you could bring Karma Set SI. But into this Open, the one that we just played, I don't think you should bring Karma Set SI, especially with how prevalent Samira Seraphine was. Maybe for top cuts, people switched a lot more to aggro, so Karma Set was a bit more reasonable. But in the open rounds, I thought it was like a crazy choice. And
yes,
the game I actually lost to, that was the only game that actually tilted me in the open rounds, because I mulled specifically for it was against scouts, and a lot of scouts units have either 1 health points or 3 health points, and this was a version of scouts that wasn't running Quinn. So I thought to myself, I'll just mull for the Vile Feast and the Hate Spike, and I got the Vile Feast and the Hate Spike, and in my mind I was like, the only way that things could go wrong here with the hand that I had was that if they had Ranger's Resolve, and double Captain Erica. And you know what, Dragon? Sometimes that is exactly what their hand is.
Wait, who the fuck plays Captain Erica in Scouts?
Don't you remember she just got buffed?
She did. But I have not seen a Scouts deck in so long. I forgot that card exists, if I'm being completely honest.
So Black Boss made a deck with Scouts, which is Misfortune Poppy Scouts, that ran Captain Erica. And like this person who I faced against brought that deck, and they had both of their Rangers Resolves in hand. And then I didn't know they were they were running Captain Erica either, because it's closed deckless, right? I played my first set. Great choice by Riot as always. But I played my first set, and I was like, I was in a winning position. They Captain Erica my first set, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I have a second set in hand, and because of the buff, Captain Erica is now a 4/4. I can challenge Captain Erica with my second set and get 2 sets on board. Surely that is good enough. And then they top deck second Captain Erica, and I lost the game because of that.
Bum.
But yeah, so Karma Set did very well for me, even though I didn't expect it to do very well. I can't speak about Samira Seraphine, because that deck got banned every time, people were very much afraid of that deck. I didn't get any experience on that deck, so I don't know what to say about it, even other than it's a good deck because people have had stats say it's good and people are speaking praises of it.
And
But
it won multiple opens.
and it won multiple opens. That is also true. But Victor Aphelios, I kind of let that deck down.
Oh no. So what version were you on, Frenchie? Because there's like 6 different Victor Aphelios versions out there right now.
Yeah, so I was on the 1 Star Shaping and 2 Submersible version. I ran 2 Submersible, I ran a Star Shaping, I ran a Sunburst, and I think the rest of it was the standard list.
Mhm.
And the deck did well for me. It wasn't doing amazingly, it wasn't doing anything particularly amazing, but it was doing pretty well. Like it had a decent win rate into the open. That is until I ran into Aikado, who knocked me out of open
Oh
rounds.
no.
Hey,
It
okay.
is. It's time to speak of the misplays because Dragon, you may know of one misplay, but you do not know of second misplay.
Oh no. So why don't we
So,
tell the viewers at home what happened if you are willing to share your tale of misery?
sure. The big misplay was, of course, making the greatest decision making of my life, and it was a highlight of my career, truly, for hushing my own victor when Akata open attacked with the Scourge and an elusive on board, and an opposing Submersible. The thing that happened was I got a message on Discord right as I used the Targon Tellstones, and that distracted me. And instead of selecting the Submersible to hush, I hushed my own victor, and I had a solid about 10 seconds of regret after that event where I just stood in silence, and I think I kind of thought I disconnected, but no, I was just regretting my life choices there. And then I let that play out, and then I FF'd the next turn because he sunbursted my victor, and that was my only unit left in hand, and I had like 12 burn in hand, but he was at 14 HP, and I was not winning that match. But yeah, don't hush your own victor. That is not a winning line.
Crazy.
Yeah, I probably should have like pre-committed the hush onto the Scourge in hindsight before he attacked, because that would have just been like the best line and traded off the Submersibles if he attacked with the Submersible. But you know, I chose the better line of hushing my own victor. But before that, I actually made another misplay that I didn't talk about because it wasn't as big, but it was still pretty bad. Which is in the previous match, because we were 1-1 in the first match against Aikado. I had set up everything. And in my mind, I was like, okay, I can win this match if I go Dusk Petal from the Lunari Duskbringer and into the Submersible, because I had already played 9 cards, get a 5/5 Submersible and strike twice. And if he doesn't have any interaction, I win the game from that point because he was at 10 HP. I forgot to play the Dusk Petal, and I just dropped a 1/5 Submersible, and that lost me the game as well. So I misplayed twice against Aikado, and I got contented in front of about 500 people on stream.
Oh no, dude. Okay, it makes
Yeah.
you feel any better, Frenchie. I only had one major misplay. That was in deck select.
That was true. You did choose.
My only major
interesting
misplay was
decks.
deciding to bring the lineup that I brought.
Yeah.
Anything after that can be considered fair game for how things played out.
Frenchie, if it makes you feel any better, Aikado lost the Aegis finals to the all EU team.
Yeah, I saw that. I was watching Aegis finals, and MTux played very well, in my opinion. At least in the Kaisa versus Jace Heimerdinger matchup. I really liked his Mystic Shot to face to preserve 10 mana for the next turn to get Jace Piercing Darkness off. That was an interesting line. I liked. Good players, but as tradition holds, EU teams must win NA tournaments.
Correct. And hey, I didn't get a chance to actually watch the Aegis final because I was too busy winning my own matchup.
Oh, I didn't get to watch the Aegis finals either. I was too busy getting carried.
Yeah.
I didn't get to watch the Aegis finals either. That's it.
Oh, you were
Yep.
too busy getting carried as well, PinkGhost smile?
No, that's it.
Yep.
Oh, rip.
Yeah, so we have the next open coming up this weekend And as we already have the one public assertion on which is don't play Karma in open rounds. There's a very different meta for open rounds versus top cut, because for open rounds it's a much wider field. And there's a lot more crazy things people can bring. So generally speaking, you want to lower your variance because there's be a lot more variety in the lineups you'll be facing in the open rounds. So you just want to bring the best decks, so you have the best chance to make it through. This is generally speaking one of the best strategies for open rounds. So expect to see a lot of Seraphine, a lot of Jax Ornn, Nasus Thresh,
Maybe
stuff like
some
that.
Rise since it won open.
Maybe some Rise. Also expect the 3 lineups that won the opens last week. Expect to see those lineups a lot in the open rounds as well, because people are just going to see that they won and just copy them.
God.
Card for card.
No, I don't want to face Karma set SI where if they don't win and it uses up most of the timer.
Hey,
That was
timer
me.
win con is real. Trust. I mean, yeah. So expect to see a lot of those. Then and then top cut is when you want to try branching out a little bit more and try to attack the meta, because you have a better idea. Like people are probably playing the best decks that got them there. So there's a little bit less variety, and there's better time to play the decks you're more comfortable with to get through the end.
We might also see a bit of resurgence in aggro in this open compared to last open, since Samira Seraphine's not one weakness, but some decks that do better into Samira Seraphine is aggressive decks, and Samira Seraphine is the deck to beat going into this open.
Yes. I expect.
Frenchie,
Yes, James.
there's this problem with what you just said. For America's finals was a target like Rise and Samira Seraphine lineup of Poppy, Ziggs, TFMF, and the more proactive 1 Scion, 3 Draven, 2 Samira lineup. But it lost to the Rise and Samira Seraphine lineup without getting 1 win.
So the Rise deck that was brought by Guy was specifically designed to actually be a bit better into aggro. It ran a tasty Feyfolk, first of all, and also for the fact that the way the game played out, it was possible for the second match to go either way. Because Taiyo is down to, I believe, at one point 1 hit point, or it was 2 hit points, and depending on how the match played out, it could have gone either way. But Taiyo was able to get heal back up and then be able to win game 2 of the set. But against Samira Surfing, yes, if they have a good hand, they are able to beat aggro. But at the same time, it requires you to have a slower hand, or for you to be able to enable to gain some reach into the late game. Also for the fact that I believe, I think the best deck to beat Samira Seraphine, I believe, was Pirates. I'm not sure.
I thought it was Pirates or that Teemo Elise burn deck some people were coping on.
Yes, I saw that did top cut EMEA through Smooth.
I believe it was Pirates that does, of the aggro decks, I think Pirates is the best into Samira Seraphine, or the Elise Teemo. I'm not aware of that deck. I don't know too much about that deck. And I don't think of the 2 matchups, was there a Pirates matchup against was Taigai versus Cup the first match, Pirates versus Samira Seraphine?
Both matches were Pirates versus Samira and Rise.
Okay, then maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, and don't bring Pirates. But I still think that aggro is.
Here's the open lineup. Just bring Pink Gwen, timelines or aloof printer, and set Kennen. You'll definitely go 0-3. I mean 9-3. Trust.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
9-3 Dragon. That is an interesting way to. I don't know if we're winning with that lineup or losing. How do we go 9-3?
So what we do is we go 0-3, and then we Photoshop the line from the 0 going down over, so it looks like a 9.
True.
And we just forget to Photoshop the 3 to look like a 0, and we're called a day.
True, but Dragon, you have to remember, the best way to go undefeated in the open is to just not play in the open. Can't lose if you never
True.
play.
Yes, I mean I have done that strategy for at least one of the opens this season.
Oh,
But
we're talking about the classic Nick makes plays. I slept in a miss seasonal.
yeah,
Yes, the classic take of just sleeping through seasonals. Uh,
Damn, that guy doesn't get a break.
no, he does.
I mean, I mean, hey, he hit rank 1 a few times this season, but yeah, we have the open coming up on Saturday. I'm excited for it. Interested to see if it's gonna be the same people who can take it home again, or if we're gonna get new blood in the getting first place. And then after that, we're gonna get new cards next week. I'm excited. I
And-
might do the depending on what the first episode is. I might either talk about them or I might talk about them the week after. I will say, after having done the review for the cards last time, I am not doing a 2-hour episode where we review every single card in depth. Look, guys,
Absolutely
I don't care.
not.
I don't care about the 1 minute 2-1, guys. If it's in an aggro region, it's probably good. If it's not, it's probably shit card that's not going to see play. There you go. There's the analysis. All right.
He's absolutely not doing a 2-hour episode. It's going to be at least 3.5.
Ah,
Dragon,
no.
hear me out. We can pull a French strat and just take some edibles beforehand
Oh,
and just
no.
review. Just have the worst takes, the absolute high takes on
Hey,
these cards.
I do have some. Hey, you know what? We could get drunk and do them. What could possibly go wrong? Oh God, I don't want to get demonetized that badly.
Alright,
Just kidding. I'm not getting monetized. Haha.
Break out the beers, boys.
Yeah.
now, the big important factor we've missed about for opens is this last open is everyone's last shot to get the invite to the Riot Mystery event.
True. I want the Riot Mystery Van to show up in my doorstep and tell me to get in the van to go to the
Malta?
mystery event.
Mark Merle's just in there.
So
They told me to prove myself in Rise. That's the only way to do that was to get in the van.
get
Damn.
in the van, Dragon.
No. Oh God. All right. Yeah, so I think this is about time to start wrapping up for this episode. Had some fun games in the open. We'll see. We have more entertaining games next week as well. I am either going to troll again or I'm just gonna fucking troll again. Who am I kidding? I didn't play the first 2 opens, so I have no chance of getting any more world points, and I haven't played any games of Eternal, so I'm not playing real decks. I don't want to play Samira Seraphine. You know what? If you have a Black Flame deck, you can send it to me on Twitter at DragonGuyDied, and I will probably play it. I will lose with it, but I will probably play it. So
Wait, is your Twitter at Dragon Guy died or Dragon Guy who died?
it's Dragon Guy Died because if I do the full name, it's too much space on Twitter.
All right, guys, I'm building Black Flame Tibalt as we speak.
I am building Black Flame Talia as we speak.
Wait,
Oh no, what have I done?
Black Flame Talia was already made. It won Worlds last year.
Exactly, it's just going to be
Yeah.
Aragorn's list copy pasted for Dragon.
But wait, guys, if I play that, I can't play Set Cannon.
True.
True.
I,
I'm gonna have to change the lineup then.
No,
I have one final
darn.
shout out.
All right, what's your final shout out, James?
My final shout out goes to Sir Hirsch for saying TSP gets 5th place instead of Targon's Valley just because we 3-0'd instead of 3-1'd.
Damn.
Well, that's been a wrap, guys. Thank you all for coming out. We'll get this episode out. All right, guys. I'm recording this episode on Tuesday, so depending on when this comes out, it means I either did a good job editing or I didn't want to edit. If you never hear it, so we'll have to see when it comes out.
Maybe
Also,
there will be.
Frenchie will never be on the show.
Frenchie will forever be doing his first episode.
Exactly.
I'll just edit out I'll just edit out Frenchie's dialogue the entire time. There'll be a 10-minute empty space in this episode.
You know, it could be a running gag where every episode, even if you upload like an episode with me, where it's just a running gag of every single episode, you're introducing me as if it's the first time.
Yep.
As if I've never been on this show before.
Well, I mean, you never have been on the show before. This is your first time. What are you
True,
talking
true.
about?
This is my first time. I've never been on this show before. What are we talking about?
Well, what we're talking about here is that it's time to actually end the show for real now. Actually, for real this time, trust. So thank you
Bye.
all for coming out. See you later. Goodbye. Where's the button to end this show? Hang on a sec. There it is.